that we will be at least somewhere near to on time. So welcome all to Spin Legal from Invictus Legal, and for the second time today, we're on a live podcast. You and I, Angela. So
Yes,
yes, this
absolutely.
morning we were on Talking Niagara. Tonight it's Spin Legal with Invictus Legal LLP,
Yep.
and I just wanted to let you know that hey, welcome to the show. So it's been legal. You can always contact us. This show's brought to you by Invictus Legal LLP, and you can contact us at 905-688-5598, or you can contact us on our website about HTTPS. We are invictus.legal. And what's different about our website today, Angela?
We got a brand new website. It's been redone, reconstructed. We had our web host. We had them redo our website, redo the whole inside of it, as well as what it looks like when you get to it, and give it a visit and work around it. You'll see a lot of different things there, and we'll be adding a lot more content within the next few weeks to
Yeah.
months, and some more pictures with our new associates. So it's going to be something that I think would be worth looking and checking from time to time.
Okay. And our topic today is, do I need to go to court? I thought I was represented. So you were representing me. I've had this a few times, and you know what it is that in many court cases, I guess that we get this fanciful view about court by lawyers standing up and, proudly kind of with their strutting their stuff and saying what they need to say in court. And we probably don't get enough of those lawyers asking, people for evidence. So if something had happened to you and you'd fallen down the steps because somebody had put something slippery at the top of the steps where you were walking by and you fell down 200 steps, and you were suing, how can I possibly represent you and not show that Angela fell down the steps? She injured herself because Joseph Smith put marbles at the top of the stairs, right?
Yeah.
I have to receive your evidence to show
Mhm.
that, don't I?
Yeah. Like we weren't there.
Yeah, exactly. As a representative, we weren't there. We can imagine it. We do a pretty good job
Yeah.
imagining it. But then
We know
again,
how these things happen. We
yeah,
know how to do reconstruction. We know what type of evidence that you need. We know all of that stuff. But the person who was there was you, and you're the most important piece of evidence that comes to court. And even in a landlord case that you're just going after arrears of rent, you're still important. You need to be there too. Why? Because you're the one who's being ripped off for your rent. And you need to let the tribunal know,
yeah.
okay, how much is owed and so forth. And then
And
that way it's very credible for you.
And again, you think of this in relation to a person standing for criminal trial. You're just being tried for. You're just being accused of murder. All right. Now, you didn't do it. Everybody who knows you didn't do it. But just think what it's going to be like if you're not at court. You're not standing there, and that's the one exception where you don't have to give any evidence
Yeah.
as a criminal defendant. You're not expected to give evidence,
But you
but
do need to be in court.
you need to be in court. You need to be showing that, hey, I'm not the person who's guilty for this,
Mhm.
right? I mean, you sit there paying absolute attention and you nitpick every bit of evidence. They've got that wrong. It wasn't me. It was Joseph Smith,
Mhm. Yeah,
right?
there's a lot of different things that there is a lot of reasons why people need to go to court. Like as a defendant, you need to go to court because, hey, I didn't do it. Some other guy did it.
Yeah,
You have your story. You know what happened. Okay.
yeah,
But however, it's always where you need to seek legal advice as to whether you should go on the stand and say this, because sometimes it's to your disadvantage, even if you didn't do it.
yeah,
Okay. So this is why you need a legal professional. Okay. For a legal professional to help you with a lot of these cases, we know what happens in court. We know how court works. We know the court procedures. We know the rules. We know what kind of evidence we need to present. We know when we need to present it. And we probably very often know who's on the other side, and we have a working relationship with them. So it's always best when we have that we work with them to present your side of the story, and we develop the narrative for you so that we can present you in the best light possible, even if there is a chance that you may be guilty or may be held liable for something.
Yeah.
So this is why we try to do things so that if you don't get let off, to minimize whatever it is that you do get held liable for.
Okay, let's start in the beginning and say what does it mean to have a legal professional represent you?
Yep, we represent you. We speak on your behalf to the court. We know the legalese. We tell the judge. We present arguments. Okay, we challenge the other side's position. So the other side comes up with their position where they say, you did this, you did that, so therefore you owe me this much money, or therefore your dog bit my dog, and all that stuff. Whatever the allegation is.
Yeah.
There's allegations all the time going on. So, but we know how to challenge that, because every time we get evidence, the other side has to present evidence. We have to see what's there. And there's no surprises in these types of cases. There's no such thing as a Perry Mason pulling something out of his pocket at the last minute. We know
Right.
ahead of time.
Actually, if there's a Perry Mason pulling something out of his pocket at the last minute, it means you didn't do your research properly.
Right. Exactly. And this is why you get a legal representative who knows that particular area of law that you're practicing in, whether it's summary conviction court, POA, small claims, whatever action in court, or if you're looking for a lawyer as a representative for other types of courts. So these are things that we do. So we know this type of language. We can cross-examine all of the opposing witnesses, challenge what they have to bring forth, ask them a lot of questions that would raise or discredit any of their evidence. Okay? We call that impeachment. Okay? We try to raise and impeach evidence on the other side, okay? To make them look discreditable, or maybe look like their evidence is more weaker than what they thought it was when they brought it forward.
And largely that's brought about because of the fact that so what happens in, for example, a civil claim, or a small claims proceeding, or even landlord and tenant type claims, what happens is I present the plaintiff's case and you come back and you present the defendant's case. So now I've got my plaintiff document, and I know that, I'm claiming X because of what your client did to my client. You're basically denying that your client did anything, and he's saying if there was any damage caused by my client, it was insignificant or immaterial.
Yeah.
And realistically, Joe at number 25 is the real guilty party.
Yeah.
Right?
So what you do is you present your witnesses, all the plaintiff's witnesses, and each and every one of them get cross-examined before they get to sit down. Right? So we get to ask all of the questions that we ask about every bit of your evidence. And we can raise anything that we could raise as discreditable. It's called the Brown versus Dunn rule, where we can raise these types of evidence to impeach the opposing. So this is how we do that, so that we could protect in terms of perhaps maybe exaggerated or mistaken allegations, that sort of thing that happen all the time.
Well, and that's the key factor. Brown and Dunn is all about the fact that the opposing party, you may not agree with it, but you have to know what the opposing party's position is.
Exactly, because that's why we have
to know the details. It's not just we disagree. We disagree because ABC.
Yep. And that's why we have a trier of fact in these cases. Okay, because as you always say, somehow we said, well, we have the plaintiff side, we have the defendant side, and in between we have the truth. And it's not necessarily like that, because there could be many truths or many different sides to an issue.
Well, many different sides to an issue. I'm not saying there's necessarily many truths. I mean,
Yeah.
after all, mine is the only version of the truth that
Yes,
really
of
matters.
course. Of course, Peter's truth. Yeah. Yeah. But this is something that we do, and this is why it's very important when you're there and what a legal professional does. But you go on there. So say if you're the plaintiff in your case, this gives you the chance to tell your story, to come into court, tell everybody exactly what happened to you that day.
Yeah.
That you were just walking down the stairs, going to work or going to school, then all of a sudden you tripped and fell down 22 flights of stairs or whatever, and you went.
So as a party to a proceeding, what do you need to do at a hearing or trial? And this is an important thing for anybody to know, because I had somebody recently who said, do I need to be there? I don't need to be there, do I? I'm starting a new job there on Monday. I'm sorry, Joe, you need to be there on Monday.
Yep, you need to be there. Tell your employer that you need to be in court.
Call your new employer. Get them to call me if you need to, but you must be there on Monday morning.
Yep, right? Because this is important. You are the most important piece of evidence at court. You are the expert in what happened to you.
Yeah. And that's an important factor. We talk about having expert witnesses on things, but in fact, the expert on what happened to you is always you.
Yeah. Yeah. You are the one that got fired from your job. You have experienced a lot of unfairness, and you can remember all the stuff they said to you, what they did to you, and what it was like on the day that they terminated you.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. I wasn't there.
And likelihood is that even though I've, and there's a question that comes up about it, it's like, so it might be on page 15 of 22 of the document stack that I've got, but what was the salary that Joe was on before he was fired? I don't know. It's not off the top of my head.
Mm-hmm.
Joe's like that.
Yeah, Joe knows exactly how much.
1,297.62.
Yeah.
Right? He's there, right? That's the value of the item, right?
Yeah.
Why does he know that? It's been part of his psyche. It's been part of his psyche since the day that he was fired, or whatever, whatever.
And we even have a slew of paychecks at the end. We have pay stubs that we can present to prove that he's telling the truth.
Yeah.
So if we can match what you're saying to the court with what we have in documentary evidence, that increases your credibility.
Yeah.
Right? And helps us prove your case so that your case is stronger than the opposing case.
Okay, so let's ask a question and let's discuss this. What is evidence? Because actually, evidence is a lot of things, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Evidence is things like the cop saw you walking down the street and proceeded to arrest you. He knew you were coming from the direction of McDonald's, and which had just been burglarized, and hey, you happen to have $20,000 in your pocket. Slam dunk, surely he's going away. He's going away. Well, that's one way of looking at evidence. But there you have 3 or 4
that would be reasonable grounds
of evidence.
That would be reasonable grounds in terms of an arrest.
Yeah. You have evidence that might be reasonable grounds in terms of an arrest. Absolutely. What he doesn't know is that the evidence is that you actually went to the bank on your way home. You got off at the bus. You got off at the bus terminal and walked past McDonald's just as the bank robbery was going on. You happened to have $20,000 in your pocket since you went to RBC Bank at lunchtime. And around the corner from work. You prearranged it with the bank manager because you have to for that kind of amount of money, right? And hey, so why would you be carrying $20,000? There's a logical reason. You need it. You're buying a car or whatever.
I'm going to buy a car. There's a car that's advertised in the Auto Trader, and this is the car that I'm going to buy, and I'm on my way over there now to give him my $20,000, and then I'm going to return with the ownership or the transfer certificate so I can go register. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, these are things that would be producing evidence. Okay.
Absolutely. These are
Yeah.
all items of evidence. And hey, the police, we've just gone from one extreme to the other on that evidence. So the police saw you walking by and you happen to have $20,000 in your pocket. It must all be illicit. You must have stolen it from
Mhm.
McDonald's, right? But now we've got the other extreme of the evidence that you went and got it from your bank,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
the point about anything to do with evidence is that um, just because you say this happened doesn't mean it did.
Yeah. Exactly. So this is why when you say, okay, I took out $10,000 that day and I was going to buy a car. Okay, you have to show that you've been to a certain place. Show me the advertisement for the car that it was.
Yeah, yeah,
Where was it? Who was the person who sold you the car? Show me any
yeah.
documentation, bill of sale for that car. And
And
then there's some certificate you have to register with the ministry afterwards.
yeah,
And there's a
and
HST.
for
Yeah.
example, all you may have on there might well be the Kijiji ad on your phone, or the Facebook Marketplace ad on your phone, or something like that. And that's the evidence that you're going to start by showing to the police officer.
And then what happens when you do register at the ministry, you do have the previous owner's information, that car's own information through the VIN number and other things to transfer you over, make you the new registered owner. Okay, so you'd have to pay HST on that. Okay, unfortunately, that's what
Yeah,
happens. That's
I think
like
that's the biggest rip-off, but we're not going
that's a
there.
certainty in life is death and taxes, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately, yes.
Yeah.
And
So
that's a big rip-off, but
yeah.
let's not go there.
But anyways, that's one of the things, right? And then there's so that'll show you proof that I've been to this person's place. I bought this car from Joe Blow, and I went to the ministry. I registered this car, and it's of this particular VIN number, and this is what came out from the VIN number. Everything was legitimate. There was no liens on the car or anything. Everything was fine. I purchased that, so it's now my car. This is my registration. Okay, so they can't come back to you for say you stole it or anything.
Yep. But okay, so now we've got talked about certain things that are evidence: videos, documents, pictures, correspondence, receipts, anything that relates to your case. And hey, just because I haven't listed it there doesn't mean doesn't exist as evidence.
There's lots of
Um,
things. There's witnesses too.
yeah,
Okay. So basically, what we're talking about here is you're a plaintiff in a case. You have a house. You wanted to get your kitchen remodeled, and you hired a contractor, and your contractor did started off okay. You signed an agreement with them and everything. Then things started going bad. Then you start taking pictures, start taking videos, and you have a receipt for everything you paid this guy. And you have who you think he is. I mean, there's at least some company letterhead, and then you do some research and find out who he is, some pictures. So these are things that you have to prove that yes, it is. I paid this guy $10,000 to start working on my kitchen, and this is the mess he made out of my kitchen.
yeah.
So I had to turn around and hire Elmwood or someone else who's very reputable, and I had to pay them $40,000 to clean up the job that this Joe Blow did. Okay, so now I'm going to court so I can sue this Joe Blow for $40,000. Okay, so
Okay.
you use all of these documents to support your claim.
Okay, and here you go. So you've got the videos behind it. You got the video of Joe basically saying, "Yeah, he's going to do the perfect job for you," and he's envisioned it, and you've got the video to show how he envisioned it exactly the same way as you did. You got his documentation, his original, his the documentation about what he intended to do and how he planned the job to come out. You got the pictures of the bad job he did. You got the correspondence between you and him, the text messages to say, when the bloody hell are you coming around tomorrow? It's the third day in a row you haven't turned up,
Yeah,
etc.,
particularly when they disappear in a wisp in the wind, they just disappear. Some of these
Yeah.
contractors, you never
And,
hear from them again.
yeah. And you've got receipts, etc., for the money you've spent. So, hey, I gave you $20,000 on the 1st of July. You gave me a receipt for it. All right, that type of thing. Okay, so with all of that lot, you've got a mountain of evidence there, haven't you, Angela? Why
Yep.
do I need to be in court? Why do I need to be there?
Because
Honestly,
you can tell the court what happened.
yeah.
Why
Well,
did you pick Joe Blow out of all the possible contractors out there? What
this is
turned
so
you to this guy?
tedious, though, Angela. It's so tedious, Angela, because I don't need to be there. I have got to get my new kitchen done now. You know, it's got to be my new kitchen. I'm interested in that. I'm not interested in what went wrong like 3 years ago. By the time we get to trial,
Yeah, by the time you get to trial these days, yeah. Yeah.
uh, so again, Angela, why do I need to be here? This is
Because
digging up
you're
the
your
past.
best piece of evidence.
Yeah, thank you. You're the best piece of evidence there is. Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's it at the end of the day.
And all these documents, videos, pictures, all that stuff supports you and gives you credibility when you're presenting your story.
Okay, so
If you have other witnesses, then these other witnesses also could be supportive evidence as well.
yeah, okay, so Joe took the video that I gave you, but I didn't tell you Joe took it. Does that matter?
No. Okay. Like Joe could be, if he comes to court and you have that, you can ask him, Joe, why did you take this video? And you admit in this part of the video you're doing this, weren't you? But you didn't do this. You hear me talking to you in the video. I want you to do this part of it, but you failed to do that. Is there a reason why you failed to do that? So there's a lot of reasons why you want to kind of use that as evidence in your favor when you get these things.
Well, one of the things I guess that with the modern cell phone and with the modern smartphone, I guess that there's two types of evidence that we're using today that probably is coming in today as number one that 20 years ago you didn't get, right? And this evidence is social media chit chat and of course text messages between the parties. You know, here am I busy texting away, Angela dirty dirty da, Angela dirty dirty da, Angela dirty dirty da, Joe dirty dirty da, right? And we've all got that going on. We've got a massive trail about stuff. Now, you know, here's the question. Here's a question on that sort of thing. So is the court going to find out about my my dirty affair with you know, with I don't know, Mary from number 23?
Well, I don't think the court cares about it. This is why when you have a legal representative and you have all of these texts and everything, you just make sure you take out what's relevant to the person's case. So if you're dealing with a contractor and somehow if Mary shows up in the picture and they start having a conversation, there's ways you can get rid of that. You can redact that portion of it and only include the texts that have anything to do with the contracting job.
So essentially, it's a duty upon us to actually, as legal representatives, to basically make sure that the evidence is actually wholly relevant. Because again, it occurs to me that, hey, I've got my video camera up there. Not this one, but hey, video camera up there on my roof, videoing everybody who's in the garden. And hey, I've just contracted you to actually, you know, build a new gazebo in my garden. And just as it happens, the video camera happens to catch you doing the gazebo.
Yeah.
Right. Or smoking when you should be doing the gazebo or whatever. So the point being is that there's times when, you know, it sees you partying up when you shouldn't be, and that sort of thing.
So there's a lot of things like that, and you also have to take into consider this privacy. There's privacy considerations too. Like for example, in some cases, like landlord-tenant court.
Yeah.
Okay, we want to show that the tenant has paid e-transferred regularly until a certain date. Okay, but we don't want to show every time the landlord has went to the liquor store or every time he went out to see porno movies or whatever, because that stuff is not relevant.
But again, in that regard, if there's an argument over let's say 2023's rental payments between the landlord and the tenant, the tenant might well be showing his bank records and the landlord might be showing their bank records, and each party would redact the irrelevant stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Like, because I don't care if the tenant went to a movie or went off took a little trip or something like that. All I care about is seeing where they pay the rent.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. And the
Show me
fact that
all
you
the
spent,
transfers where you paid the rent to the landlord.
yeah.
Okay?
And the fact that
So,
you
and
spent,
gather that up, add it up, make sure the
yeah,
left side and the right side add up. Right?
yeah, exactly. And the fact that you spent 15 grand going to the Azores for a holiday, who cares?
Yeah, who cares? I mean, that could have been money you won or something, or could have been
Yeah.
a bonus from
Yeah.
work or
Yeah.
something. I don't know, and I don't care.
Yeah.
Okay? You're supposed to pay your rent. Okay?
Yeah.
Whether you got no money or whether you got a ton of money. Okay? So you have a monthly rent that's responsible, and if the landlord's trying to say you didn't pay rent, and you have a responsibility upon yourself to prove you did. Okay? Especially if that is in dispute. Okay? Or if there's other things in dispute, like if you're a tenant and you did a lot of repairs yourself, you're responsible to pick up all the receipts and documentation to show that you did repairs yourself and photographs and so forth. And then you can bill the landlord for it and go to landlord tenant board to get the landlord to pay you back.
All right. So there's lots and lots of different types of evidence out there. And, so it's almost, I guess that is probably why a lot of people are asking the question about why they need to be there.
Yeah,
Because,
exactly.
hey, I produce 15 hours of videos. You're going to watch them, aren't you? Actually, the chances are that actually the adjudicator may watch them. They may not.
Yeah.
The person who's adjudicating your case may or may not watch them. They would probably be, 15 hours of videotape. They'll probably want to see the 42 minutes that are actually important. And
What are
only
the
the
key
42
issues
minutes.
here of the case, and what videos show the key issues?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you're trying to show the landlord coming in when without notice, and you got two videos of 5 minutes each that show this. Let's show those two videos. Then
Yeah.
you'll see the landlord come into your unit without 24 hours notice.
Yeah. And we know that he gave notice on the 14th, but he gave notice on the 14th at 1:00, but at 1:01 p.m. on the 14th, he also unlocked the door and entered the unit.
Yeah.
Because you've got that now on video.
So these things are stuff that we use. So, like I don't want to see videos where you're taking pictures of you and your dog or cute cat pictures or whatever like that.
You want to see the cute cat pictures, and you want to see the cute cat pictures and the nice dog pictures, but you want to see them on Facebook, don't you?
Yes, I want to see them on Facebook when I'm not working.
Yeah.
Okay. But when I'm working and I'm working on your case, I want to see exactly what's pertinent to your file.
Yeah.
Okay. Otherwise, because when you start giving me a boatload of videos, 15 hours of videos, that's 15 hours of time.
Oh yeah.
For us
Actually, that's an important aspect there. Is that's 15 hours of video. In fact, actually, there's 15 hours of video. And let's be blunt about this. In order that I can cut it down to 40 minutes of usable video, it's probably not 15 hours. It's 15 hours to realize that there is 30 minutes on tape number 4 that I need, on CD number 4 that I need, and
5 minutes each
CD
on the first.
CD number 6 and CD number 15. I need to take videos from those ones, snippets from those ones, and I'm documented. It's around the hour. It's around the hour mark for 3 minutes, and then I'm going to go back onto it the following day and actually find that. So, in fact, you've got 15 hours of videotape. It could take 25 hours of looking through them.
Oh yeah,
not wasting time.
Why it's very important if you got video evidence. It's important that you go through it yourself and provide the most relevant video evidence that you feel represents what you're trying to present.
Yeah, and somebody climbing your fence. Yes, okay. I can only download from my security camera provider the AM of the 24th. I know that he went over the fence at 10 a.m. That's fine. That helps me go through to 10 a.m. because I can check the
Yep.
video
Hmm.
connect, video sections, the timer on the video, I mean,
Hmm.
and find it.
Yep.
Right? Because okay, so maybe 10 a.m. isn't 10 a.m., but 9:52 a.m. because
Hmm.
the video camera was incorrectly set. But hey, we get through those things, right?
Yep. Yeah, because those are where we would do that. So these are when you try to consider that when you bring it in, and also you have to consider there's timelines, there's deadlines when these sorts of evidence pieces are required to be exchanged with the other parties. So like each of the courts and tribunals has a different type of setting when these things are required. So I would be very careful to understand and listen to your legal representative when you need to bring them in and when the deadline is. Don't just keep bringing them up until the day of the trial because that's not going to be, some of them are not going to be heard. So the best thing to do is ask them, when do I have to have this all in by? And get them all in. I work
And
with your legal
yeah,
professional.
and obviously, when I'm making the claim, it's good to have a lot of the evidence that you know. So on the 1st of April, Joseph Smith did this to me, this to Mary Jones, um, and you might not have the video evidence at that point because you may still only, it may still be with the security company. You may not have that evidence right at that point, but you documented it in other ways because I know that Mary Jones went to hospital on that date,
Yep, yep.
right?
And things could be downloaded, and then
Yeah.
maybe a representative from the security company could be invited in to show the video that you're trying to present, and then and they could explain, where everything is, and you know. So there's a lot of ways of presenting evidence. Okay, it's very important.
Yeah. And
Okay,
just
you have to
just to
introduce
do
evidence when you're in court. You have to introduce evidence in a very specific way, even if the court already has all the documents, or if the tribunal already has all the documents uploaded on the portal. These things still have to be presented, and they still have to be entered as exhibits.
Okay, 1 second, Angela. I'm going to do a quick advert, if I may. This is Spin Legal. It's today is April 10th, 2024, and we are discussing the question of the value of the evidence that you can give, right? And this show is brought to you by Invictus Legal LLP, and you can contact us at 905-688-5598, or you can actually contact us on our new website at https we are invictus.legal. When I say new, the website address is the same, but it's been updated with new colors, new schemes, and everything.
Yep,
So new to us website.
yep, exactly. And over the next few weeks, we're adding some content. So it'd be
Yeah,
worthwhile checking it up every once in a while because we'll be giving you new
and
content, new information.
and some of the content that we will add will be these videos.
Yep, yep, will be your Spin Legal, because this is all through Invictus Legal, as well as some stuff that we may have some court decisions that we were part of doing. So we might upload some of those. So it'll give you an idea of what our firm is up to and the kind of work that we do for people, and also who we are too.
Yeah. Okay, that's an interesting point. Maybe we should do a video on some court decisions. I like that idea.
Yep.
Tear apart one of your ones, Angela?
Oh yes. Yep.
And then I guess we can tear apart some of my ones.
Yeah. They'll tear apart. Well, especially that one that we had that was 37 pages or something about a certain address that we know about.
Yeah, but you see, but some of these, like interim decisions, we can't really tear apart because it's still decisions
Yeah,
still
these
to be
they
made.
make in their decisions, case
Yeah,
assessment direction decisions. sometimes even the final decision is not published, but if I
Yeah.
get a final decision and it's favorable to me, I will send it in. Right? You can send
Yeah.
things into Canly, actually.
Hmm. Okay. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, of course you can. And the point being is that when, coming to all of this, coming to get the crux point of getting a decision actually requires evidence at the end of the day.
Yep. And that is how a court or a trier of fact determines things. They base it on the evidence, on the balance of probabilities based on evidence.
Yeah.
Okay? They don't base it on, oh, I like you, you're better looking, or I like the way you talk, Peter, or Angela, I like the way you're dressed today. They don't
Yeah.
make decisions based on
Hey,
that. They
that,
make the decision on
yeah,
what
yeah.
evidence is.
And no decision is based upon, hey, I like Angela's blue blouse today, so I'm deciding in Angela's favor. It
Yep.
doesn't happen that way,
No,
does it?
doesn't happen that way.
Yeah.
Right? Because we have triers of fact, they're trained to be objective and they rely upon the law, the statutes that are being argued, as well as case law that's being presented by both sides.
Yeah.
And then they go back to consider it, and then they often will write a decision that will reflect what all the evidence that was given. And then if you don't like it, there's avenues that you can go. You can have a review, or you can do reconsideration, or you can just appeal it to the divisional court if it's a tribunal, or do an appeal. There's various avenues to do it. That's why we have litigation these days. And there are people who that's why we call it practice. That's how we get better and better at our job. It's called practice.
My brother used to come back with a phrase when he was playing the violin at school, which was, "My teacher told me practice makes perfect."
Yeah. Are we perfect yet, Peter? Or are we still
um,
practicing?
I think we're still practicing.
Yeah.
But you see, tomorrow's court has to always be perfect, doesn't it?
Yep.
Or as
Exactly.
perfect as we can make it. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and of course, here's the one final thing that Angela must say to everybody out there. So go, take it away,
Okay.
Angela.
Okay, Spin Legal, we talk about a number of topics, legal topics. Sometimes we even talk about very specific legal issues. But anything discussed here tonight or on any of our other episodes should not be construed as legal advice. If you have any specific legal questions about any situation that's happening in your life or any concerns, or even are just curious, call a paralegal or a lawyer and they can give you specific advice. Okay? You cannot get advice. We cannot give legal advice on a show like this. We can only give it to you if you come to us and you formally discuss this with us, okay? Or with any other paralegal or lawyer. So this is why what it's very important because like I don't want to hear it if somebody says go jump in a lake on this show that I hear of people jumping in lakes over Ontario Way. That's why it's not legal advice.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Go jump in a lake is actually good holiday advice, but nothing more.
Yeah, exactly.
Or go fish in a lake might be good holiday advice as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah,
You know,
depending on how you spell fish, it could be PH.
we're not go there. We're not
Yeah,
go there. Let the evidence unwind as the evidence unwinds. Is that right?
absolutely.
Yeah. All right. And I thank everybody for being here. And I
And
guess,
if you have suggestions, do not hesitate to put into the comment column or write to us and ask us to do a talk on any topic of your choice that you feel that you would like to hear from us on.
yeah.
Okay. It could be anything within our scope of practice, or if there's an article about something that happened that is about the legal system or about some court case that happened, like we'll look at it and we'll consider putting it on our show.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for being here, and good night.
Good night.